got to talk elections. There's a lot happening. And it's interesting, the debate rules. I want to start with the debate. People are now. I think this is going to be must-see TV, just like the debate between Biden and Trump. Harris-Trump is going to be must-see TV. It's going to play a big role in who wins this election or what happens on that debate stage. But there was some question about what the rules are going to be. Here's what happened.
The rules are now set for the 90-minute debate. No opening statements, only closing remarks. And the candidates' microphones will be muted when it's not their turn to speak. Trump will get the final word after winning the coin toss.
So we'll see how this all goes. Here's what I find interesting. These dueling, this whole big battle. I'm going to play it. This is ABC. Another Harris endorsement.
Harris has picked up an endorsement from a high-profile Republican, former Congresswoman Liz Cheney, who has railed against Trump for his alleged role in the January 6th riot.
Because of the danger that Donald Trump poses, not only am I not voting for Donald Trump, but I will be voting for Kamala Harris.
What a surprise. I'm shocked. I just want you to know I'm absolutely shocked by that. Liz Cheney is not voting for Donald Trump. What a shock. What I find interesting, and I do find this interesting, Tim Walz's family members, a bunch of them, not only are they supporting Donald Trump, but they put on Walz for Trump T-shirts and sent it out all over the country. And then the reaction has been hilarious. One story says, well, they're all just distant cousins. They're related, but they're, not really related. Anybody that is connected to the Republican Party or Donald Trump that has said they're voting for the other side has been front page news. What's interesting about this is Lori Roberts over at AZ Central, and I have to tell you that of everybody over there at AZ Central, I really, really like Lori Roberts. I do. We don't always agree. We've had a couple of conversations. She's just an interesting person. And I thought this was another one that was hilarious. Lori Roberts writes, if Tim Walz's family ditched him for Trump, he's not the first candidate to lose support. And then what does she do? She talks about how Gosar's family did the same thing to him. But that was big news. They made that big news. Anybody with the name Trump that's voting for Harris is big news. Now, all of a sudden, there's one place, and that seems to be Fox News, that's pointing out that there's... So at some point, I think, I would say from the very beginning, none of this matters. Jimmy McCain, it is no surprise that someone named McCain wants nothing to do with Donald Trump. I think they have a good reason. I've said this from the beginning. I have voted for Donald Trump twice. Voting for him again, I think he is a much better candidate and has a better ability to run the country as president than Vice President Harris. That's my feeling on it. But I hate what he said about John McCain. Hate it. I think the McCain family has every reason to be disgusted by what was said while John McCain was alive, while he was dying, and after he passed away. I don't blame that family one bit for wanting nothing to do with the Trump campaign. I don't blame them. I'm not shocked that Jimmy McCain came out. I mean, they are bold people that say what they believe, and I respect him for it. But why are we surprised? Why is anybody surprised that Liz Cheney has come out publicly after everything that happened during the Trump administration? Why is anyone surprised by that? But it's big news. Big news. Another one, Karen Travers, ABC, other Republicans going against Trump.
She has been one of the most prominent Republican critics of Donald Trump, and not surprising then that she would come out and say she was not voting for Donald Trump, but then going that extra step and saying she is voting for Kamala Harris. But, this really is a message that we heard from some Republicans during the DNC, like Congressman Adam Kinzinger and other former members of the Trump administration, like Stephanie Grisham, his former press secretary.
So what about RFK Jr.? The Kennedys were the Democratic Party for decades until it was the Clintons, and then it became the Obamas. But in the 1960s, the 1970s, into the 1980s, and into the 90s before the Clintons took over, the Kennedys were the Democratic Party. Period. End of story. RFK Jr. is on the campaign trail for Donald Trump. Big deal? So I look at this and I think, all right, so at what point, and I think this is where the average voter is, At what point do we say, I don't care? And I don't care about either endorsement. Doesn't matter to me what RFK Jr. is doing. Doesn't matter to me what Liz Cheney is doing. With all due respect to the McCain family, and I think the world of them. I think I've established that. I love the McCain family. John McCain was good to me. Meghan is a close friend. I have nothing but the utmost respect for Jimmy McCain. Doesn't matter. What is going to matter is this debate. This debate is going to go in a huge direction for one or the other if they are able to establish themselves as better at the debate with better answers to the questions that the nation has. They are going to go and make a huge leap forward. You look at the polling numbers, depending on what polls you're looking at, Donald Trump is winning here. He's losing in Michigan, I believe. It's tied in a couple of other states. It's within 1 or 2 points in others. This is within the margin of error. It's going to come down to turnout, and it's going to come down to independent voters. So which of these two, and I don't think there's going to be any problem getting your base to vote. I think both sides realize from their perspective it would be disastrous for the other candidate to win. Democrats are going to vote because they don't want Trump in office. Republicans are going to vote because they don't want Harris in office. How do you get those independent voters to show up at the polls and vote for you? In the end, that's going to be the issue. It's as plain as day. But it's so funny to see, depending on what news outlet you're looking at. Of course, I picked up Fox News. Fox News is saying, look at Tim Walz's family. They got a picture of the entire family. There's got to be 6 or 8 of them, all wearing T-shirts they had made up that say Walz for Trump, and they're family members. And then another news outlet wants you to know these are distant cousins. They're not necessarily, they are related, but they're, well, Liz Cheney has absolutely no relation to Donald Trump whatsoever. And yet they make a big deal of this. And so both sides are trying to make a big deal out of this. And I don't think in the end it matters. I really don't. I think in the end, people are going to decide on the issues.
Thanks for watching the Mike Broomhead Show. Catch up on Amazing Arizonans, a KTAR News podcast, and click the button in the middle to subscribe.